FBI did nothing. Just complete contempt for the rule of law. And what Justice Department policy generally is on text messages. We've been fighting this battle for years, more or less. And once again, we had to file a new lawsuit to get information about the text messages of the coup cabal that was illicitly targeting candidate Trump and then later President Trump. Next up, speaking of hiding documents, we are talking about Wray's FBI. Now, Director Wray has not been any different as far as I can tell, probably even less transparent than Comey has been. You heard that right, less transparent. And one of the big fights we've been having with Wray's FBI is over text messages. They've taken the legal position that their text messages written by FBI agents are not subject to the Freedom of Information Act. They say, well, it doesn't mean we don't save them, which frankly is even more outrageous, meaning they've got them and they still don't want to turn them over. It's not like they just disappear. And specifically, we had asked for documents, I think this is some time ago, for text messages between Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok. And let me be specific here. Andrew McCabe, Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, Jennifer Leonard, who was another FBI official, and Lisa Monaco, who was one of their key contacts over in the Obama White House. We wanted text messages. And the FBI takes the position they're not subject to FOIA and they're not going to give them to us. And what's really interesting is we appealed this determination. You know, Attorney General Barr has got to take responsibility for what Wray's doing here. You know, when we sue for records in the FBI, guess what the name of the lawsuit is? It's not Judicial Watch versus the FBI. It's Judicial Watch versus the Department of Justice. The FBI is a sub-agency of the Department of Justice. Specifically, I think the director of the FBI reports to the deputy of Mr. Barr. And so we appealed their refusal to turn over records to the Justice Department's Office of Information Privacy, and the Justice Department kicked it down to them and said, you got to review this. They remanded it. FBI did nothing. Just complete contempt for the rule of law. And what Justice Department policy generally is on text messages. We've been fighting this battle for years, more or less. And once again, we had to file a new lawsuit to get information about the text messages of the coup cabal that was illicitly targeting candidate Trump and then later President Trump. And who's protecting this coup cabal? Wray's FBI. Wray's FBI. The Wray FBI asserts, contrary to DOJ policy, it can delete and keep secret all text messages, including those by the corrupt cadre responsible for the illicit spying on President Trump. The court should quickly order the FBI to preserve and produce text messages as FOIA requires. And it's interesting, so when we file a lawsuit, unless it's related specifically to another case, it gets randomly assigned, or at least it's supposed to be randomly assigned. And in this case was randomly assigned to Judge Emmett Sullivan. So Judge Sullivan is our judge in this new case against the FBI for hiding records. Now remember, we uncovered how Mueller's team, including FBI agents, were deleting, had records, phones wiped. We've been uncovering the Page Strzok email communications. We haven't gotten text messages. In fact, you know, we had been asking for FBI text messages of McCabe's in a separate lawsuit, and the FBI kind of backed away after court ruled, hold on, what are you doing here? And they did give us text messages, but they were almost completely redacted. They were completely useless. And in giving them to us, they said, oh, they're not covered by FOIA. We're just doing this to be nice. So once again, I mean, this is why you can't trust the FBI, because they are in a cover-up mode for the Obamagate and taking this extraordinary position that their text messages aren't subject to FOIA. So imagine if you're under investigation by the FBI and you say FBI record, oh, these text messages, these aren't records. You can't have them. The FBI would come in and take your phone and take them anyway, right? So we have to battle every inch in every way to get access to information from Wray's FBI. And it's awful. It's just awful. And we're happy to do the work, but it's as I call it, the rule of law crisis. And this is one of the reasons we have a rule of law crisis, because the FBI doesn't want to turn over records as you're supposed to under the law. And the Justice Department's letting them get away with it. And so this is the same gang you think are going to investigate Biden. This is why I'm skeptical about it. So I'll let you know if we get anything, or maybe the FBI will start turning over records magically after this lawsuit.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.